Welcome to Ready, Set, Collaborate with Wanda Pearson. This is where ideas spark, connections grow, and collaborations fuse success. Tune in for inspiring stories, expert insights, and game-changing conversations. Let's build, connect, and thrive together. Remember, collaboration is the key to success.
Welcome to the Ready, Set, Collaborate. I'm your host, Wanda Pearson, and today we have an extraordinary guest who is a powerhouse in the literary and entrepreneur world. This episode is sponsored by Be Seen Social Media, the marketing secret behind my standout online presence, which she is, ready to attract your dreams clients without the stress. Download the free Bio Optimizer Guide and set up a scroll-stopping social media bio in seconds. Get noticed, get results. Grab yours at beseensocialmedia.com. That's Seen, SEEN, socialmedia.com. Make sure you check her out. Now, let's get to our amazing guest. Joining us today is Dr. Toccara Nicole, affectionately known as the Identity Architect. She is a 12-time author, celebrated two-time Amazon bestseller, and the guiding force behind VOS Consulting and Publishing International. Through her work, she cultivates authors, entrepreneurs, and storytellers, empowering them to monetize their genius and shift the trajectory of their lives. Dr. Toccara here. She also hosts the inspired TV shows Vault Talks, Women Share, where she champions women's unity and provides a platform for powerful conversations. Today, Dr. Toccara is here to share her journey, wisdom, and strategies to help us all live more boldly in our identities. So, welcome, Dr. Toccara. I'm so excited to finally get you on my show.
Yes, happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, absolutely. So, as the identity architect, she extends her visionary prowess beyond words. As the guiding force behind VOS Consulting and Publishing International, Dr. Toccara cultivates authors, entrepreneurs, and storytellers, empowering them to monetize their genius and shift the trajectory of their lives. A firm believer in women's unity, she hosts a TV show, Volt Talks Women Share, fostering meaningful discussions. Dr. Toccara Nicole, an executive producer and proud University of Illinois alumni, alumni, exemplifies purpose-driven success with her honorary doctorate degree for unwavering community commitment. And I want to say, listen, you see her shirt there, Chicago? Hey,
Hey,
we from Chi-Town. All right, welcome, Chi-Town girl. Say
thank
hello to the audience.
you. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, definitely. And I'm just honored to have one of my sister girls from Chicago here. But you know what? I'm glad I'm in Atlanta because I don't miss that snow. I don't miss
I'm
ice.
living in Omaha, Nebraska. People are like, "Oh, if you live in Omaha, you should be good because Chicago and the snow." And I'm like, "It's a little different living in Omaha. Omaha is not flat. We have hills and all the things."
Yeah, because the flatness actually brings tornadoes. So my first experience was tornadoes living in Chicago.
Yeah.
But when I moved to Atlanta, I'm gonna tell you real quick. I moved to Atlanta and our first tornado, and when I moved here, I said, wait a minute now, y'all didn't tell me you had tornadoes. I know we had hurricanes in New Jersey, but tornadoes, girl, I experienced that tornado in my front yard where it actually chopped down the big old oak tree in my front yard. And we live in a cuddle sack. So I had to tell God, okay, Lord, please protect us here. I'm like, I thought I moved away from this kind of stuff.
Right. I
But the
get it.
weather is different in no matter where you are now, it's a totally different thing here. So just get
Right.
used to it. So listen, let me get this show on the road because I want to start getting my interview questions in here. I need to hear more about Dr. Cara. So Dr. Cara, you've been called the identity architect. Can you share how the name came about and what it means to you?
Absolutely. When I was coaching with a former coach of mine, she called me the identity coach. And it was interesting because I never saw myself as the identity coach. Then I had another coach and he called me the identity coach. And it wasn't until he and I started working together that I started to own it. And I remember the day when I was like, okay, identity coach. And I was in a friend of mine's house. And like when you actually say something and you catch yourself saying it, at that time, it's out now. You can't take it back. I remember embracing that term.
Mhm.
Fast forward, God showed me how I was the identity architect. Sometimes you have to walk in one title to really evolve into the next place. You can embrace that one place as God is expanding your territory. When I took on the role of identity architect, I said, okay, God, I need you to show me what this really looks like.
Mm,
So fast forwarding the story, he showed me that I had been in the student housing development field for a little bit. And he showed me how I knew some things about construction. If it has to be at least 32 degrees for y'all to be able to lay the concrete in order to build the foundation for
mm,
this apartment complex. And if it's not, then you're going to have to redo the concrete pad because you have to build up and you can't build up if it's cracked in the foundation. I
mm,
was like, yeah, I get that. That's how I want you to work with your people to understand that as the identity architect, you help them see the blueprint and mold and shape who
mm,
they are so you can help them at the foundation so they can build and expand and explode.
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, a part of my gift set as a believer is that I can see and hear. And when I'm working with people, I share all of that while we're building. As a faith-based believer, it's that intimate
Yes.
moment with your customer, client, because you're literally hearing from God to help them mold and shape their identity as that business person
Yes.
or as that author or as that visionary. And so what I learned was that was my gift set. I
Mhm,
remember hearing the words being prophesied some years prior that I would be a marketplace minister. And I was
mm,
like, I ain't standing in nobody's pulpit. I ain't trying to be nobody's minister. And so as I started really studying, understanding what a marketplace minister is, the identity architect and all that comes with that helps people to understand who they are in the marketplace so they can minister through their books and their businesses and their concepts.
mm,
So
mm,
that's how the
mm.
identity architect came to be about.
I love it. And really, you know what? I tell you, the same thing with me. God, he has a sense of humor sometimes, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I said, I would never write a book. I love how you just put that in a nutshell, that architecture and as far as how you build it from the underneath to the outside to the upper parts. I love how you just put that in there. So thank you for sharing that. So,
Absolutely.
what role did writing your first books play in shaping your identity as an author and an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I was a part of a co-author book project, which I tell
Mhm.
anybody if you're looking to get your feet wet as an author, go ahead and be a part of a co-author book project.
Yes.
Because it definitely shows you what you're made of in ways that you may or may not be ready for. So I was a part of a co-author book project. And I remember the editor coming back to me and saying, wow, Takara, your project is amazing. Like this chapter is so good. How long
Mhm.
did it take for you to write it? And I
Mhm.
laughed. And she was like, why are you laughing at me? And I was like, because it took about 72 hours to write. And she's like, for real? I said, yeah, this is like one of the best chapters in the book. So it recalibrated my experience with being a writer. As an only child, I spent a lot of time by myself. My mom would send me on punishment and I'd be mad at her as a 7-year old and write in my diary that I thought locked because it has a couple of keys, but it really don't lock. Those I would start writing about what my mom did to me, and then it would start turning into creative poetry. And then I started remembering as a kid how I've always excelled in English and writing, and how I was a young author as a young kid, and my works were on display at school. God was like, I'm just reactivating what was already in you. And when I became that author as an adult, it calibrated some things within me, and I've been writing ever since. That's how we have 12 books with a 13th coming out soon. It's just something that has always
Yeah.
been in me. I've been reading since I was 3. My mom and my grandparents put a lot of time in with me to help me develop those skills. By the time I was 6, I was reading the Chicago Tribune, not just the comic section. And I could have
Wow.
conversations with my parents, my grandparents, and my mom about what I was reading. It's just been a love of mine that I didn't understand until that first book came out. What I
Yeah.
thought was a flop and a failure was actually God recalibrating some things.
I'm listening to your story, and it's like you're telling my story a little
Ah!
bit. I actually remember I said I would never write a book. One of my clients called me, and she's a minister. She said, Wanda, God told me to call you. I said, okay,
Mm,
what did he say? He wants you to be part of this book, collaboration book. And I just told my girlfriend, I'm never writing a book. Who wants to read my book? So when she told me it was called Audacity to Shine, I said, you know what? I like that chapter. If I'm given something to do, I get it done. So I
yeah.
got it done real fast. I used to write poetry. I didn't know it was poetry. I was just writing my feelings on paper. So when she talked about this collaboration book, I said, I pretty much have it done. I just got to put it in the paper here. So I was the first one done with that collaboration, but it took a while. In fact, it really kind of gave me a bad taste of collaboration because it took a while because all the other 9 girls had to women had to get their stuff and then they had to change or whatever. So that's when I said, I'm never doing another collaboration book.
Yeah.
Never say never. And that was the second title of my second collaboration book. Never say
Mm.
never. God has a plan for you.
Yes, he does.
Girl, we got so much to talk about here
I
because
love it.
I'm gonna have you back on my show because we actually have a lot to talk about. So now that you've written 12 books and hit the Amazon best-selling twice, what are
Yes.
some of the biggest lessons you learned along the way?
One of the lessons that I've learned, it's the sixth book that sits here on my shelf. I don't have any kids, but I say that my
Mhm,
books are my babies. So that's my
mhm,
sixth baby back there. And sometimes you'll catch me rocking a sweatshirt that says, Some people birth babies, I birth books. That book really showed me that I had more to say. I thought I was just writing it for me and maybe a couple of people to help them identify their identity blueprint and keys to unlocking them true selves, because that's what the book is all about. So, shout out to my amazing, fabulous coach, Grace
mhm,
Marie Brown, who
okay,
worked with me to get that book out. And me and her designed that cover during a retreat of hers back in 2019. And so
mhm,
I was getting ready to hit the road to go to the retreat. And my grandfather and I were sitting in his basement, his den. And that was one of the last times that me and my grandfather had an extensive conversation before he
mhm,
died suddenly the next month. That book means so much to me because it's not only me sharing, but when people pick it up, it's a book for people who are in a state of transition, whether they're going through grief and trying to figure out who they are again, whether they lost their job, they're trying to figure out
mhm,
who they are again, whether they're going through a state of divorce, trying to figure out who they are again. And I had a friend in Virginia, and she was
mhm,
working with those who were in the military, helping them to transition from military life to civilian life. And she gave them my book, and it gave them hope in life because it speaks to people who are transition. You write your book for one thing, and you never know how God wants to use you through your book to reach
yeah,
the masses, because we can't hop on a phone call with everybody, but people
mhm,
can go to Amazon, Books and Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and our own
mhm,
websites.
mhm,
So that book really has changed the lives of many. One of my girlfriend was like, "Hey, I'm connected to a women's shelter here in Atlanta. They want to buy 100 copies of your book." And so now
mhm,
that message is getting shared with so
mhm,
many. And what took me 28 days to write is
yeah,
now planting seeds in other people. So you just
exactly.
never know where your book journey is going to take you.
I love that because my editor who edited my book, God's Grace Through the Fire, said, Wanda, you got to get this book out because a lot of people need to read this book. And I mentor at middle schools as well. That's something that I want to get back because I was a social worker. I mean,
Okay.
I did social work before I did IBM, but I'm constantly doing it anyway. So many aspiring authors struggle with self-doubt. What advice do you give them about pushing past fear and starting their writing journey?
One of the things that I say to my clients as I'm coaching them, because there's so many different factors that are out here in the world that have a major play within people's minds and hearts and what they're seeing. And they feel like I can't be an author because of what my friend said that her journey was like or his journey was like. When I come across those people, I tell them one of the most important things you can do for yourself is, before you even think about what you really want to write about, if you're stuck, just
Mhm,
journal and get that brain dump out. A lot of people can't see the connection with how writing is really good for your mental health. I work in the social
yeah,
work field. I am not a social worker, but I've been working in the social work field. It'll be 10 years coming up very soon. One of the things that I tell people I work with, whether it's dads that are working to figure out how to reacclimate their lives after some type of hurt, whether it was
mhm,
incarceration or their kids being taken away and now trying to reunify with families, or those going through their survival to thrival walk as domestic violence and sexual assault, shifting from
mhm,
victim to victor. Writing's important. It
mhm,
might not be pen to paper. It may be voice to a phone, voice to a computer, just getting out those feelings and emotions. Start there and don't be afraid of what's coming out, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that came out of me. No one's going to want to listen to that. And it's
mhm,
clearly the opposite. One of the things I talk to people all the time, if you're thinking it, the enemy will want you to think the opposite. If you're thinking it and you're like, okay, I can really do this, and then here comes the enemy saying, no, you can't, lean
Yeah.
into what you're saying that you can do because that's the right answer. We
Yeah.
live in a place of fear because we all have a story to tell. My story doesn't look like Wanda's story or the next
Mhm.
person's story. You don't have to be an Oprah or a Gail or The Rock or Ludacris
Right.
for people to want to hear your story. You don't have to be famous
Yeah.
because people who need to hear your voice for their healing journey to be activated.
You said it all in a nutshell. I love that. How do you help your clients at VOS Consulting and Publishing International transform their stories into powerful, profitable platforms?
One of the things that I really help them to understand is the mindset of even just being an author. I don't teach principles on how to speak on stages or do any of the marketing tips. The one thing that I help them to do to be profitable, because when you think of profit, it's not always money, it's more so of mindset. If you have the mindset and the drive to push your book, the money will come. I truly believe that. I tell my clients all the time, once you're an author, you are a speaker. You look at me like a deer in headlights from the aspect of you being a speaker, meaning that you have to speak up and talk about your book. Your book isn't going to sell itself. You got to
Mhm.
have to figure out how to get on podcasts. You're going to have to figure out
Mhm.
how to get on stages. I don't help my clients with that. I know that there's other people out there in the world that can. I have a friend who's a TEDx speaker, one of the young ladies that went through the camp with, and she teaches people all the things on how to do that. My gift set is from concept to published author and working with them to understand that it can be done so
Mhm.
then they can shift their mind to the next elevation place. Remember, I'm the foundation girl. So that once
Right.
I work the foundation with you, then you have the
Right.
tools to build.
That's collaboration. That's what
Yeah,
I do, collaboration, because then you get the people who can help the experts in doing the next stage to help them get to that level. No, it's
I
really,
know my place, ma'am. That's not it. All
yeah,
of my coaching and consulting comes around. Let me help you get the book out
yeah,
because that's the biggest piece because we have people
absolutely.
around us that are telling us that we can't do it. Whether
Yeah,
it's our mama, our grandma, these influential voices. For
yeah,
some people, it's husbands. Some
yeah,
people, it's co-workers, and they lean so heavy on their voice to where they can't even hear the voice of God. So I'm like,
absolutely.
hold on, let's do this. So I work with people who are believers of
Hmm.
Jesus Christ is Lord. And I do that because I teach biblical principles. So I had someone say, I have to believe in Jesus to work with you. No, but you have to believe in the Bible because I'm going
Yeah,
to spit Bible to you while we working.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I love it because it really, that's how it all started.
I did not want to be a publisher. I was burned by a publisher. So when God
Yeah.
was like, this is what I have for you, and he gave me Voss, which in my
Mhm.
mind means vault of steel. I'm the last steel woman. If you look at the O, it's a vault, there's fire. I help my clients to ignite that fire within them to shift from concept to published author. That's my gift set right there.
I love it. So now what does VOS stand for again?
Yes, vault of steel.
I
So
love it.
I'm the last steel woman in my family. And when I created the business, I said, how can I keep the legacy alive? So this
Mhm.
is before I even knew I was going to do consulting and publishing. I was leaning towards consulting, and God gave me Voss. I was on
Mhm.
the highway. Actually, you probably, when I say this, you're going to know. I was on I-57 coming
Yeah.
from Champaign because I
Yeah.
graduated at U of I. So I could tell you what exit I was at the Gilman, exit 283, getting ready
Yeah.
to pass the pilot gas station, and here he comes with the download. And I'm like, I
Yes.
don't know what to do with this. I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about starting a company yet. So he gave me the name before he gave me the what.
So let's talk about entrepreneurship and monetizing. You emphasize monetizing your genius, right? Can you
Yes.
explain what that looks like in a real life for authors or entrepreneurs?
So you ever be around people who are inspired by what you do and they just start spitting out stuff and you're like, what? And I was
Yeah.
like, monetize your genius. I don't help people do that. Why would I use it as my tagline? And they were like, it was a guy specifically. He's, sis, let me tell you why you do that. Once you become an author, you're a business owner. Whether you have the LLC, sole proprietorship, all the other things, because you have to now sell your books. So that makes you an entrepreneur by default. And so
Right.
when you talk about monetizing your genius, it's more of packaging your book to where people want to buy it. So that's what I help people with, the whole concept, the published author piece, because people don't want to buy something that's boring. People, especially self help, they need your help. How are you going to creatively give them your help and not bore them, but give them you? And that was one of the things that Grace Marie Brown said to me. And
Mm-hmm.
it's give your clients you, give your reader you. When you
Mm-hmm.
talk about monetizing your genius, it's not so much a strategy or a formula, it's more so how are you going to position yourself to have a book that makes sense to people and why they would want to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
Mm-hmm.
monetizing your genius means to me, because they're the geniuses. Writing the book is their story, their journey, their idea. Everything that I do comes from here's their concept, walking them through published author. And I might give them some ideas of, oh, they like, I want to do a podcast. Use your book. Mention your book often while you're talking about you, because people are going to want to know you. They're going to want to know your book. You
Yeah.
can't sit down with everybody to have a 30-minute aha session or a discovery call, but there's
Mhm.
you in your book.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's great. That's a good way of doing it because, like I said, my book was, I just start talking about because I do a lot. They call me the networking queen. I network a lot. So when I network and a lot of people in different diversified audiences, and they want to know more about Wanda. When you put that book out, especially about yourself, wow, even my neighbor, wow, Wanda, I didn't know you went through that. I see,
Yeah.
but look what I became. People who put you down. I know myself, like not gonna be nothing. You're never gonna be nothing. You're gonna get
Yep.
pregnant when you go to college. So
Yeah.
all of that encouraged me to do more, to say, I'm
Sure.
gonna prove you wrong. And that's what people need to do. Don't let anybody steal your joy, because that is your
Amen.
joy that you actually are creating yourself. So what are some practical first steps people can take to begin turning their passion or expertise into income?
One of the things that I tell people all the time is that you have to believe it. There's no point of writing something down if you don't believe in it to be.
Yeah.
And it's also, I have a framework that's called MEET. It means mindset, environment, energy, and time. I have my clients walk through that for a little bit. I don't teach them anything about publishing a book until I teach them that framework, because when God showed it to me, and I'm sure you can relate, Wanda,
Mhm.
you ever have those ideas where it literally either wakes you up at 3 a.m. or you're in the shower and you got to hop out real quick because the idea is fresh on your brain,
Yeah.
or you walking by some water with, because water is my thing, like water is
Mhm.
very calming and soothing, and the Lord is just speaking to you. Neat was one of those frameworks, and what he showed me is that it's gears. So when you think of gears, it was more like a grandfather clock. You can see the gears, and the gears are intertwined and connected. One gear is needed to turn the other. So this is what that framework looks like. When you talk about your mindset, what mindset are you in when you are starting this journey? And what mindset do you need to shift to in order to be that author that you desire to be, especially for those who are the first time authors, or the
Mhm.
ones who are told that they can't write a book, the ones that are told no one wants to hear from them, don't even go down that lane of being a speaker, an entrepreneur, an author. No one's going to follow them. Your story's trash. Who would want to listen? You have to say, I debunk those things and I renounce those things in the name of Jesus, and I want to walk forward in what God said. So there's that piece of it, to really
Mhm.
walk in the mindset of where you see yourself going. If no one else sees it, you need to see it. And so
Absolutely.
in E is environment, changing your environment. For me, 2018 was the year I got rid of folk. If you weren't walking with me, I'm out.
That's right.
I ain't got time to carry your baggage, your luggage, nothing. That was that year for me. I was also very intentional with being in circles and spaces that were feeding the mindset I was working on. And energy. What energy am I giving to my goals? If I'm always talking about I'm tired, but I can Netflix and chill, or I could be surfing on social media for 2.75 hours. Like,
Mhm.
where is my energy going? Is my why lining up with the what kind of thing? Like checking yourself with the energy. And then
Mhm.
there's time. We have 168 hours in a week. What does time management look like for you? It doesn't have to be spooky and all the things, but what does that look like? So, starting with just checking yourself before you start doing projects that are huge outside of your comfort zone, and continuously doing that self check so you can stay on track with the goals that you desire to achieve. Also, I love that you said networking. Figuring
Mhm.
out what your network looks like. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you have to be at a networking event 3 times a week. If you're going to shift your environment to get the thing done, what does that look like, sound like, feel like?
Yeah.
It starts with shifting yourself, so you could actually see yourself at the finish line. I'm a different type of coach. Clients have my number. And I was really like, do I really want to do that? I was like, you know what? From an accountability standpoint, if I say that I'm going to be the one to help you get things done, I don't want to be that fake and phony person that's going to say, I'm going to help you get things done, but only during these hours. But my clients understand boundaries. So
Yeah.
I never had any real problems with, oh my God, but they're very respectful. And I say that because sometimes this is people's first time ever writing a book, or they have been around people who've had a negative experience. So they're
Yeah.
very cautious of even the idea of getting to the finish line. And the one thing that God has really been working on me with is meeting people where they are, no matter what that
Mhm.
looks like, whether it sounds like. And I was talking to my significant other. I was like, God constantly meets me where I'm at. So am I not to meet other people where they are?
Absolutely. And that's that social work in us. My girl, she said, Wanda, you got to start charging people for that. I said, you got to help me here. But then when she broke it down, I said, okay, that's true. So by your expertise, you turn it into income. Is that right? You help them turn that to income? No.
Help them figure out the books. And sometimes, depending on what they're talking about, I will show them Google other people that are doing the things that they're doing so they can get a
Yeah.
visual. Or my guy calls me the mapping strategist. It ain't nothing for me to map out an idea or a concept real quick to be
Hmm.
able to help them see how it's aligned with their authorship journey. But I don't
Yeah.
do business plans. It's more
Mhm.
so mindset work so they can see themselves
Right.
getting to the finish line. And then what's the plan to utilize their book in other places? I collaborate with other people to say, hey, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I've gotten them in a place where they understand that they have to invest in themselves. They have a solid plan, maybe things to tweak here and there, but that's why I call it monetizing your genius, because we all have something that we're sitting on. We just need somebody that's going to actually walk with us and coach us with love and compassion to help us. I've had amazing coaches to help me do that. One is Grace Marie Brown. I love her. She's a hardcore Jamaican woman. She
Yeah.
helped me so much with just understanding how to
Yeah.
get a book out in 28 days. She told me 30, and I was like, you're nuts. But
Mhm.
she held my hand and like,
Got it done. And that's where you got to have the people that actually going to work with you to go out to it. So now this is our last question because you're going to tell listeners how they can get in touch with you. So your
okay.
TV show, Vault Talks, Women Share, Women's Unity. Why is that so important to you?
Absolutely. So, Vault Talk Women Share started as a radio show in Chicago. We transitioned after my grandfather passed in 2019. We took a sabbatical, we went live stream, and then now we're on Roku and other places. It's important to me because I've had amazing women in my life to have helped me get to different spaces and places. And then I've had those not so nice women that have also helped me get to places and spaces. A lot of
Mhm.
women in leadership that I've experienced weren't the nicest, but they help shape my leadership journey. And now I have people that are asking me, because I have a 9 to 5 that I love. I'm passionate about that, but I'm also passionate about publishing. I can marry the two together. But those that you work with, and because I
Mhm.
manage teams typically, I'm always in a leadership role. When they tell you, I'm so glad that you've had negative leadership experiences because you
Mhm.
are a bomb leader. You are so dope at what you do, and you don't
Yeah.
think of it like that. You just
Yeah.
know that you've been hurt in areas, and how women leaders, specifically African American women in leadership, have dropped me, stepped on me, been
Yeah.
intimidated by me, run the bus over me, throw me in
Yeah.
places, spaces. You're like, hold on, I thought we were better than that. And a lot of the spaces that I was in, I was the only Black young female in these
Mhm.
leadership spaces. And I'm just thankful to God that He placed the leadership abilities within me at a very young age.
Yeah.
Sometimes He'll take you back to the thing to show you what He's been working on the whole entire time. I feel like women can work together. We have to be
Mhm.
the right collaboration. It has to be right. It has to be
Mhm.
equal. I was talking to my significant other this morning, and they have to have a vision, babe. You have to have a vision. When y'all come
Mhm.
together, it's like this
Yeah.
explosive thing, because
Mhm.
now y'all can both operate in vision and walk together, have your whole identities, but the
Mhm.
vision comes together from a collaboration standpoint. I could say specifically with the authorship guild, called the Authors Authority. Shout out to Nicole Lewis and Alan Black, we work amazing together. Our collaboration skills are so dope. And even with
Mhm.
the women who have helped me create Vault Talks, we were able to come together and do all the things. And so even now, the leaders that are in that space, one's in Jamaica, one's in the Carolinas, when we come together, it's explosive because we
Mhm.
get how important it is for women to collaborate, work together, build together, live together, and love each other.
Absolutely. I love it. And that's why I created this space for Ready, Set, Collaborate. My logo is collaboration to keys to success. So having that collaboration with other people, we may not be experts in everything, but when we
Yeah,
collaborate, we can bring it all together as far
sure.
as our vision. So if you could leave our listeners with one message about identity, resilience, and purpose, what would it be?
Knowing who you are is a game changer. And I say that because it's the formula for you to change your own game before you can
Mhm.
change anybody else's. Knowing who you are is so beautiful. It's a game
Mhm.
changer. It really is.
Knowing who you are, that is powerful. And that you got to know who you are. A lot of people don't know who they are. I enjoyed this, and I'm gonna have to have you back on my podcast because we got so much more to talk about. Tell people how to get in touch with you and what you got going on. And
Yeah.
like I said, you're gonna be back on my podcast because we got a lot more to talk about. We just clicked with that Chi-Town stuff. It's like a
You know
lot of
what, Wanda?
similarities.
Let me tell you, it's something about the Chicago water that we
That's
drink.
right.
We can get on the phone and kiki and high. The best way for people to get in touch with me, if you're looking to join a 5-day challenge, or if you're looking to figure out how do I shift from concept to chapter one, you can literally go from concept to chapter1.com. There's information on how to join my masterclass. I do a challenge every month, so there's ways for you to go ahead and be a part of that as well. And then you can always text the word AHA, it's AHA, to 877-904-0787. Again, AHA, which is AHA, to 877-904-0787.
Wow. You're going to send me all of that because that's going to be in the show notes. So
I
people will make
got
sure they
you.
can get in touch with you. Yeah. Wow. What a powerful and insightful conversation with Dr. Toccara Nicole. She truly embodies what it means to be an identity architect, helping authors,
Thank
entrepreneurs, and storytellers embrace their genius and create lasting impact. So, Dr.
you.
Toccara, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your brilliance today. For our listeners, make sure you connect with Dr. Takar and explore her books, her consulting, and her TV show Vault Talks. All of her links will be in the show notes. And before we go, I want to give a special thank you to my today's sponsor, Be Seen Social Media. If you want your social media profiles working overtime to draw in perfect fit clients, Be Seen Social Media has your back. Don't miss your free bio optimizer guide crafting for busy business owners who want to stand out fast. Get up in seconds at bscenesocialmedia.com. That's BEE, scenesocialmedia.com. Or just check out our show notes. So until next time, and thank you. But until next time, remember, collaboration is the key to success. I'm Wanda Pearson, and this is Ready, Set, Collaborate. Stay inspired, stay bold, and keep building your identity with purpose. Thanks again, Dr. Takara, for being on the show.
You. See
Take
you guys.
care. Bye.
That wraps up another episode of Ready, Set, Collaborate with Wanda Pearson. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to help you build meaningful connections and successful collaborations. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more great discussions. Until next time, keep collaborating and making an impact.